Hi, in this episode we've received the delivery, and so that means we can complete the installation of the Backscene. Hi, welcome back to Halton OO9. I'm Mark, and as I say, the Backscenes are here, so that's good. We can get on with it. Nice quick service from Model Masters. We were looking at what Backscene we wanted on the Friday, put the order in on the Saturday. They processed it on the Monday, sent it out on the Tuesday. I had it on the Thursday. That was very quick, and I thought it might take a bit longer because, as you know, I had one of the scenes mirror printed so I could join it up properly. So yeah, we can get on with the Backscene now, can't we? Anyway, just before we do, it's been 4 weeks since I've sent out the last video, and that's down to me mum. Got to blame the parents, haven't we? She had 4 falls, resulting in 3 ambulances, resulting in 2 visits to hospital, all within 1 week. The second visit to hospital, they kept her in for a week, so I had to go down there every day to see her, obviously. And now she's out, she's back at home, but between me and my sister was away at the time, she's now back, but between us we're doing every other day down to see my mum, make sure she's all right, and other visits in between as well. So time has not been mine over the last few weeks. So progress has been a bit slow. We have done some, so we'll now go over to me in the shed and I'll show you what I've been up to. So this is where we left it at the end of the last video, and we have got the backboard made and temporarily screwed in place. I say temporarily because that's got to come off and we've got to put the Backscene on it. So in this video we're going to continue with this. We've got the board at the back to make and the 2 boards either side of the door to make, and paint those up, get the little black margins on and get the Backscenes on. We've also got to make some formers for the corners to get the radius in there, the 8-inch radius, so that we lose that crease in the sky effect that I was aiming for originally. So without further ado, let's get on to that, shall we? So the starting point is to find out what we need on these corners, and measuring that, it is 24 centimetres, which is a nice round figure, isn't it? So what we've got to do is get a curve in here, make a template for a curve in here, but it's not going to be 24 centimetres, it's got to come away from the wall a fraction because I've got to get the cabling from the monitors down behind it. So I'm going to work at about 21 centimetres, I think. That gives me 3 centimetres, or just over an inch, to get my wires down the back. Okay, so the starting place had to be a template, didn't it? It had to be a cardboard template because I do like my cardboard templates. So this one I originally cut out a square, 21 centimetres by 21 centimetres. When I've just measured for this, the backboard that's already up for the scenery finished here, there was 24 centimetres to the wall. So by doing this 21 centimetres, that allows me 3 centimetres to have a gap to get my cables down to go from the monitors down to the computer and to the power supply. And I've made this one 21 centimetres as well. I could have made it longer, but then that's just a waste of material, isn't it? I only need this shape here. Right, the next stage was to get the curve drawn in here, the radius, and all I did for that was got a scrap piece of cardboard. I pushed the screw through one end, then 21 centimetres from there I pushed through a pencil. I just put that on the cardboard here and then drew the radius round to get the cutting line. So that's what we've done. We've cut off that part, and this will be the inside edge where the Backscene will be glued onto. Now you can see I've also got some notches cut out from here, and that's because I want to put some battening in there, because I want to use 2 of these. I want one at the bottom of the Backscene board and one at the top, so that I've got a good firm base to put the Backscene on. So I've taken those and I've cut out 4 wooden corner brackets, if you like. Brackets is a good word for it, isn't it? So as I say, where these notches are, I've got to put some battening in, and I'll do that next. I haven't shown you all this cutting out and marking out because it's fairly straightforward, isn't it? And it didn't take too long, but yeah, just thought I'd get it done. So I obviously got to know how long those pieces of batten have got to be. So I've got a spare bit of Fomex, well it's not spare, it's the one that's going at the back under the monitors. But if I measure this is 50 centimetres. So I need 6 pieces of battening 50 centimetres. In fact I need one slightly longer because that's going to be the piece that gets screwed to the wall. So it needs to be about 55. So I need 4 bits 50 and 2 bits 55. While I'm out here though, during the summer last year she said that she wanted her summer house and the shed and everything all tidied up and repainted. So we painted it in this nice shade of sage green, but I couldn't resist, could I? I had to do my end of the shed in kind of railway colours. I'm not quite happy with it because I should have painted these panels in, but I'll do that once the warm weather comes back. But yeah, it might be a bit childish, but I just wanted to make it a bit more special at this end. You can't see it from the house, so a bit of a station building look, station master, tail lamp and fire bucket. I'm going to put some plants in that though. Anyway, let's get on with this battening. Right, so we've got the brackets, we've now got the battens, and on the battens, I don't know if you can see, I've just drawn a line, and that is the width of the bracket. And all I've got to do now is drill a hole in each end, and then I can glue and screw these together. That's quite a good fit. They've not all come out as a good fit as that, but then again, I'm not a carpenter, am I? So there's the corner part all battened up as well. I've put an additional batten in the front here as well. Basically these get screwed to the wall their way up, so when the Formex comes round I can staple and glue it to the end here, but I'm a bit worried about how far down I can reach to get it battened and glued and stapled at the bottom, and I don't want it easing away from that corner. I want it to keep that form, that curve all the way down. Otherwise we might start having problems with the Backscene. So what I've done is I've put another batten in here, so even if I can't get to the bottom here, I should still be able to get sufficiently way down. I can put at least 1 or 2 staples in the bottom here to hold everything in place. Hopefully I'll be able to get down here and put in a couple, even if it's 1 or 2, couple of staples, just to hold it in place. But we'll see a bit later, won't we? Right, so now I've got to get these mounted on the wall and then start measuring up, because I want a batten to run across the back of the wall to mount the Formex on. So we'll pop back inside and do some measuring. Right, as you can see, I've got the corner brackets in place now, and the next stage is to measure between the two. So I need a batten going across the top and a batten going across the bottom. I'm also going to put a couple of battens in here. Now the reason for that is the backboards for the backgrounds on either side are actually against the wall, so they're nice and stiff. But as I said, the one at the back here, I've got to be able to get these cables down the back of the scenery and have enough room that I can unplug them and move them if necessary, or replace them. So I've got to have a little gap, which means that I've got to brace the Fomex that's going to go on the front here, and that is the only way to do that, obviously, is put some battens across. So I've measured this, and from that to there is 63 inches. However, from the bottom of the bracket to the bottom of that bracket is 63.5 inches, and that's because the shed sides aren't vertical, they kind of slope in a little bit. Now, does that matter? Well, yes it does, and I'll show you just why. Okay, so a couple of pieces of cardboard. This represents the backboard for the Backscene, or the background to go on. Ignore that scribble there, it's got nothing to do with it. But it's just to demonstrate that if this corner, and this is 63 inches at the top, 63.5 inches at the bottom. So if we move the bottom half an inch in to make it square with the corner, we're going to end up with a ½ inch gap here. If we've got the backboard, one just piece of backboard going across there, obviously that's going to slope down and the Backscene is going to come in square, so it's not going to line up, is it? It's going to slow. If you try and line it up with these boards, it's going to drop, drop, drop and drop, and by the time we get to this end of the railway, it's going to drop quite significantly. And the other thing is, in the corner, if we, there's a bracket here, one of the brackets here, if we try and square this up around that corner, when we do it, when we try and bend it and keep it straight, we're going to end up with a little gap like this one here, and it's the air and the damp gets in there and it's just going to peel off, isn't it? So the whole thing's got to be square. So what I've done is, although this is 63 and that's 63.5, both the battens I have cut to 63 inches. So as long as one of the corners is screwed in and square, then the other one will pull in square, because the connecting horizontal battens are the same length. Hopefully that makes sense. Right, so as you can see, I've now got that battening in place, so that's ready for the Foamex to go on. One of the things I've got to do is at the back here, I did start putting in this little framework across the back here to put the scenery on, to mount the scenery on, but that's getting in the way, certainly when I come to put the Foamex and the background backboard on there, so that needs to come out. It's easy enough, it's only held in with about 4 screws. So yeah, what's next? Well, it's getting towards the end of the day, so I'm going to call it a day for now. But first thing in the morning, my first job is, and as I pan out you can probably see what the problem is, it's getting far too messy in here, so I need to have a good tidy up first thing in the morning, and then we'll get back onto the background boards. Right, so tidy up in the morning. No, that was filmed on the 7th of April, I think it was. Today's the 19th of April, so it's 3 weeks ago, but that was because of the problems with my mum. She's 95. She was 95 last weekend, and people go, what a lovely age. Age-wise, it might be nice. What goes with it isn't so nice. She is sharp as a pin as far as her mind's concerned. It's her body that's giving up, and poor girl, she is suffering a bit, but she's getting there. She's as strong as an ox, so we'll see how she gets on. Anyway, back to the railway. The background board from this side's gone. That's now in an area where I can work, which is a bit bigger. It's down on the decking just outside the house. What I'm trying to do is work out how to get the Foamex to go round the back from that background to this background board. Originally it was just going to go straight across, but now it's going round these corners. Obviously it needs to be a bit longer. Well, I can't stretch the board, so I'm going to have to put an infill in it somewhere along the line, but we'll explain that down on the decking, I think. So let's pop down there. Right, so this, from the pieces of wood here through to the end where the flowers are at the end, that is the board that we built up, and it was down the right hand side of the shed behind where the bridge is going to go in. Now this bit here will curve around that first bend and then go off down the back of the shed. Now the reason I've done that is I've stuck this together so that there is as few wobbly or floppy joints in this board as possible. I don't want to put the Backscene on it, and as I'm moving it, it goes and tears, so I've glued it all together. I'm going to do the same down for the other side, but because this board here was originally going to go across the back of the shed straight, it's now got to go around a couple of little arcs, so it's not quite long enough. So I've done this side, I'm going to do the other side exactly the same. Then I'm going to put them into the shed, and I'm going to put a piece of Foamex in between just to fill up the gap, but I don't want that on the bend, so that's why I've cut this piece here, which was the bit that went across the back underneath the monitors. I've cut that, and there's half of it gone on this side and half of it gone on the other side. It's not quite half, but I'll explain that to you a bit later. So another little break in proceedings, and why is that then? Well, as you've just seen, I've got the backboards laid out, I've got them straight, I've glued them together, I've cleaned them, and ready to go to stick the Backscenes onto the back boards. So we opened up the tube, took out the Backscenes, ranged round which ones had to go where. There's 6 of them, but we have to line them up so we know which ones in which order to go, obviously. And so I did that, and then I thought, right, let's get on with it. So picked up the first one, picking away, fiddling. Thought, this is hard, I can't get a backing off it. And then it tweaked, I've ordered the wrong ones. So yeah, they're the right designs, but instead of ordering the premium self-adhesive Backscenes, I ordered the paper ones. My head's been in a total 12 for a few days, so yeah, I just didn't check the order before I pushed the send button or the confirm button, whatever it was, and yeah, the wrong ones turned up. So no problem, got in touch with Model Masters, ID Backscenes, and got them to send through the correct ones, which they again, quick turnaround, they got them out within about 2 or 3 days, but the courier they used, took 7 days to get them to deliver them to me. So that's another week gone, isn't it? It's just delay after delay with different bits and pieces going on. So the Backscenes have arrived. I've got everything laid out again, and this is where the next thing went wrong, because my brain is still in the twirl. I started sticking them down. I was explaining what I do and how I rub it down and how I got it all lined up, and then I went to check the footage, and of course I hadn't turned the camera on, had I? So we've lost that. Anyway, we kind of jump ahead a little bit. So the first section's on, and I'll talk you through where we are now. So it's back down to the decking. I'll see you in a minute. Right, first bit is in then, and there was a couple of problems with it. The first bit was lining this edge up. Obviously when you start, you've got to peel back the backing and then try and get this lined up. Now, because I'd peeled back the backing, it formed a little hump in the back seam, and then when I checked, this edge wasn't lined up square, so it was just a matter of lifting it and bringing it across and trying to line it up again, and then pulling it across. Now this backing paper, if I can just take you slowly down here, is here. And as you can see, it's fairly transparent, which is good, because as you're pulling it out from behind, you can keep an eye on the edge of your board and you know exactly where you are, and you can see that you're keeping straight. Now, pulling that backing off as well, I took off about 4 or 5 inches here to get me started, but obviously I've got some nasty creases in it. So what it is just pulling that very, very slowly, and in the end I was doing about 2 fingers widths, just pulling it, rubbing it down, pulling it, rubbing it down, and gently working across. And it went on surprisingly easy, no more bubbles or creases. And then once I got to the end, what I did was I just came back here and lifted this corner up to the last crease, and then gently laid it down, and then just again rubbed it with my finger. And I think there's 1 or 2 creases in there still, but they're so tiny and minute you can't see them. And certainly in this area where you've got different greens, different patterns, they're just damaged, just vanished. So I'm quite pleased the way that's turned out. So one down, and there's another 1.5, 1 3/4 to go on this side, and that's the end by the door. This is the end. This will actually curve around the back of the building, and the monitors are on the top. Now, when I was putting these balls together, I did say that when I cut this one, I didn't go exactly halfway. I'd extended it slightly. Now, the reason for that was I didn't want a join here in the back scenes, because obviously the back board comes in from that direction, from the left hand side, and then this one will come in from that side, and I didn't want to just finish it dead in the middle, because obviously that would have meant there would have been a join here and another join there, and I want to limit the joints. So that's why I've kept these boards to length and not cut them off. Now the next one will have the infill, and then it will have the full boards going off around the back. So what I'm going to do now is get the extra 1.5 on here, and I say 1.5 because there's a full length to go in here, and that brings us down to somewhere around here. And then the next one I will be cutting the end off, and that will go on the flat end piece, the end board across the back here. So that's why I've started from that end again, so I know I'm right the way up here, and I'll finish properly on that to join there, and then we can cut that and put that last bit on the backboard, and we should have a nice corner that matches up. We're going to have the crease in the sky, but I can't get away from it. Okay, so we've got the back scene in place. Now these bits at the side were fairly easy because they are just a square board, and so they've just slotted in as independent pieces or separate pieces. The reason for that is this board will need to lift out at some time, and I've worked right into the corner, so that board needs to come off for me to lift this one out. And this one doesn't have to lift up, but I was a bit concerned about space on here. It's not a very big corner, this, and I've got to get my loops in, so again I went for the corners. But these back scenes were very unwieldy to get in, so the back scene board actually goes from here on both sides. It goes right the way up the length of the shed to about that point there, which is 9 feet, and then it's about 10 foot to there, and then they actually finish in the centre here. So that was quite big, and this was in one piece, so I've had to bring this in, bend it round and slot it down the back of the seam, which was difficult. This side was slightly easier because, as you can see, it's a lot more open. Now ID Backscenes and Model Masters do say that if you're putting these backscenes on a curve, stick them on, then leave them several weeks to cure. How long several weeks? I don't know. But my curves in the corners are very tight anyway, so I thought I could leave it 7 weeks, but I think I'm going to end up with the same issue. And that issue is, if I can bring you in close enough, you might be able to pick out, there's some creases in it. Now that's because we've taken the board and we've bent it, and although it's thin, the inside of the curve has compressed. The paper being stuck on it has not compressed as much, so that's why you get the ripples in it. The other problem I had, which I'm trying to cover up, you might notice that just in here there's a couple of little slots, and that is a line that went down. Now the backboard here for some reason wouldn't go all the way down, it was sticking, so because it stuck and was raised up a little bit, this board here is tilted out a little bit, and therefore ended up, and I've lost it, yeah, it's about here, wasn't it? I've ended up with a crack. It's more or less touching at the top, but at the bottom it was a weeny little bit out, only about a few millimeters, but it was so noticeable. But I have stuck in some spare bits just here to try and cover it up a bit. I can see it, it might not show there, and when you get to the 3 foot rule, which is about here, does it show up? Can I live with that? Yes, because the scenery is going to build up here anyway, so it's going to hide some of that, maybe put a tree in the corner, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. The black around the top is just to tidy it up, and as I said previously, with the black at the top and the black at the bottom, it kind of focuses your view into that area here, to kind of get you to look into here and forget about what's above and what's below. Also, I think it just frames it and looks a bit smarter. So yeah, on the whole, I'm quite pleased the way this is turned out. It was a shame about those creases, but I've got them out as much as I can. I've put little slits in and tried to flatten them down. Now, talking of that, this has been in place a day now. This side is fine. This side has already started to bubble. There's a couple of bubbles. There's one there, there's a bigger one here. Now this is where the old backscene had been put on with a spray adhesive, and although I've cleaned it as much as possible, I think there must still be some residue or something there which is stopping the backscene sitting on there really flush. If it gets too much out of a problem, too much out of hand, not too much out of problem, what I'm going to do is just get myself a little hypodermic and try and get some glue behind these and flatten them out. They flatten out quite nicely, but they lift off quite quickly as well. So yeah, it's all in place. I am pleased with it. What it has done is given me that height of the background here of the land, where before it was either going to be a lot of cloud or nothing at all. So I'm pleased the way it's come out. I think I would have liked a few more trees on it, but it's not too much of a problem because I'm going to have a bit of woodland in here and down the sides, so that will get my woodland in place. But I think because it's so high as well, it's really giving it a sense of not depth so much, but when you look at the back here, how far that distance goes and the landscape, and then you've got the train, it looks tiny. And this is what we try and aim for, isn't it? That the railway runs through the scenery rather than the scenery is bonded to the railway. So with that amount of depth and that height, it's really made this track and the trains on it look quite small. Now I know I'm dealing in 009, so it's narrow gauge. Maybe with 00 with the larger size locomotives, I was going to say larger scale, it's all the same scale, just larger locomotives. Maybe that difference wouldn't have been so much, but I really like the way this is kind of a little railway in a big landscape, so I'm really pleased with it. It was a bit of a long task putting this one together. I mentioned 2 dates earlier on, the 7th of April was it, and the 19th of April. Today's the 3rd of May. That's how long this video has taken to put together. As we know, as I've said, a lot of that's been down to my mum and continuing to go down and help her out and look after her. I've got 3 people that's special in my life. 2 are family members. One of them is a very, very good friend and a very special person who counts as a family member, really, I suppose. All 3 are going through their own issues at the moment. I'm not having to spend time with them, it's just my mind is spending time with them, worrying about them, hoping they're okay, not hearing from them, just that general worry thing. So yeah, a lot on my mind, which is why I ordered the wrong back scenes, why I didn't think these through and made them too long, and then they were too unwieldy to get in. And I might have done things slightly differently. Now, one of the things I haven't mentioned is that these corners, I have actually scribed them on the back so they bend better. The other thing I did was I was talking about gluing and stapling them in place, and I thought that's not going to work very well. So when I cut out the corner brackets, I ended up with 4 bits of plywood like this. So all I've done is cut round there and ended up with an arc, and then I've drilled holes in it, and then that's gone in and screwed it in place, and it's a lot firmer, stronger fitting to keep that in place. The black border around the top was just some self-adhesive vinyl off Amazon. It's a fairly good quality though, it's quite thick. It was dead easy to put in. It's 10 foot long, 1 foot wide. Cut it into 3 strips, 3 inches wide, and basically just stuck it around, just peeled it and rubbed it down, normal sort of thing. And I do think it's finished it off. So yeah, time to wind this one up. What's next? Landform. I think that's where we are next. I can't think of what else to do. We've got to get this road in. We've got to get the landforms in. I've got to sort out a base for the village to sit on. And I want to join the track up at some time as well, because I want to start getting trains on here, and the anxiety levels have been stopping me doing that. So I've got to do it sometime or other. This is a model railway, you've got to have model trains on it, haven't you? So yeah, landforms, village area, get the road in place, and that won't be for about a week and a half, maybe slightly longer, 2 weeks. Why? Because I'm off to Wales. Each year we go away for at least 1 week during the year, and we've slowly worked our way around the Welsh coast. So this year we're up to Pwllheli, or just outside, and that means we'll be quite handy for the Welsh Highland Railway and the Festiniog. And if I can squeeze another 1, maybe 2 in, that would be very nice, but I don't want to overburden the missus. She's good to me, so I've got to keep on the right side, haven't I, really? Anyway, I'm beginning to witter and wattle, whatever it is. So, till next time, thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with me. Apologies again for it taking so long to get this video out. And I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye for now.